The House Immigration Committee held a special session in Ottawa to discuss the impact of people entering Canada through irregular border crossings. But as David Cochrane tells us, MPs from all sides were glued to their talking points.
It's an emergency meeting of the Committee on Citizenship and Immigration. Today, you could add partisanship to the name.
Is there a crisis in Canada right now?
There is a challenge, but it is not a crisis.
Liberal MPs toss softballs to Liberal ministers.
The opposition has unfortunately been painting a picture of chaos at the border. What did you see yesterday at Lacolle?
What I observed was the exact opposite of chaos.
The Conservatives turned those softballs into fastballs.
Your colleagues have perhaps not gotten the job done.
Well, respectfully, I disagree with the suggestion that the job has not been gotten done.
Then hit Liberals with interruptions.
The system is to get those people out of the shelter system into permanent housing. That's the $40 billion national housing strategy. And then you have a set budget.
The influx of asylum seekers has slowed, but it hasn't stopped. And it's getting more difficult and more expensive to house and feed people. Next month, hundreds of asylum seekers face eviction from university dorms in Toronto and will be moved to hotels for who knows how long.
Ontarians are pro-immigration, but the current crisis has tested their patience.
Which is why Ontario's immigration minister was here to look for financial help. But with a Conservative politician in the chair, the script flipped.
Ontario receives more immigrants and refugees than any other
Minister,
province
could you stick to the
country.
Can you answer the question?
Suddenly, the Liberals were interrupting and accusing McLeod's government of using language that stigmatizes refugees.
You would rather have a debate on words. I would rather have a debate on making sure that I can fund my ministry.
And so it went, until.
Me and my friend Razak here worked for 10 hours in a cold across the border near Emerson, Manitoba.
A human reminder of what this is really about. An asylum seeker from Ghana who lost his fingers to frostbite as he desperately sought refuge in Canada.
So we want the Canadian people to please protect us with hope, courage, and tell us you are safe here.
But that did nothing to end the partisanship.
No, I need to know this. We have gone through hours of meetings with you.
The political theater quickly resumed. It isn't clear if it will end. David Cochrane, CBC News, Ottawa.
David mentioned that the number of asylum seekers making irregular crossings into Canada has been dropping, and we can show you in a pretty significant way. Since January, the RCMP has intercepted more than 10,000 people coming north at irregular points, but month by month, the numbers are dropping. About 2,500 people crossed in April. That was down to 1,800 in May, and there was another drop in June to just over 1,200 people. Now, a representative for the UN High Commissioner for Refugees was at the committee meeting today in Ottawa. He's heard the concerns that the number of asylum seekers in Canada has become a crisis, and he tried to put those numbers into perspective for us.
The number has been decreasing a lot in Europe as well, but Germany, which is the double population of Canada, had received in 2016 700,000 to 800,000 asylum seekers compared to the 50,000 that Canada received. And it's very much in line with what this country is all about, which is about respect for human rights, inclusion, and diversity.
Now, illegal border crossings involving Canada aren't a one-way affair. A growing number of Mexican migrants are using Quebec as a backdoor into the United States, arriving there legally before sneaking across the border. As Jayla Bernstein tells us, it's seen as a safer option than the southern U.S. border.
Along the picturesque Vermont-Quebec border, human smugglers have been busy, ferrying people from Canada into the United States, directing them through forests and wet fields across the border. In one recent case, a group of Mexicans allegedly paid thousands of dollars each to smugglers who helped them cross. It was along this stretch of road where a U.S. Border Patrol agent pulled over a white SUV that had out-of-state license plates. Inside, there were 5 men. The driver spoke only Spanish. Everyone inside identified themselves as Mexican citizens, and none of them had any sort of U.S. immigration papers on them. And something that's interesting, according to court documents, the agent noticed that the men's pant legs were soaked all the way up to their knees. According to court documents at an American Border Patrol station, one of those arrested told an agent, "A van brought us to the border. One guy waited in the van and the other walked with us for a while." He He pointed where to go. I was supposed to work in New York City in order to pay off the smuggling debt.
There has been a definite uptick, and we have seen increasing group sizes, very sophisticated, organized smuggling operations trying to exploit terrain and with perceived easier crossing.
The number of people apprehended for entering the U.S. unlawfully this year has doubled in some states along the Quebec border, New York State, Vermont, and New Hampshire. It's not clear why Quebec is such a hotspot. It's up to 324 people so far. One factor may be that Canada ended its visa requirements for Mexican visitors in 2016.
People are wanting to go to the United States, and they're using Canada as a just a bridge to get there, to save time or with easier paperwork, basically. So the not needing to obtain a visa is one of the factors that has made a difference in that whole situation.
U.S. and Canadian authorities say it's also possible some might see the north as easier to cross than the south. But U.S. agents warn they will continue to apply the law against anyone who enters illegally, no matter which border they cross. Jayla Bernstein, CBC News, Montreal.